Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and, I gotta say, pretty radical philosophical text by the 20th century Kabbalist Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag. He takes a concept we all think we know, religion, and basically turns it completely on its head. So, what's religion for? I mean, it sounds like a pretty simple question, doesn't it? But according to the text we're looking at today, those quick, easy answers we all have, they might actually be the problem. The author argues we're kind of stuck in this, well, he calls it a childish understanding, and it's what's keeping us from seeing what's really going on.
So, he starts off with 3 questions that honestly seem to have really obvious answers, but that's his whole point. He says that our "of course I know that" reaction is the trap. He calls it a hastily accepted assumption, and it basically slams the door on any real deeper thinking. So, what are these 3 big questions?
All right, so here they are. First, what is the essence of religion? Second, is it for this world or the next one? And third, is it for the Creator or is it for us, for people? You probably have answers popping into your head right now, right? Well, hold on to them, because the way the author unravels these questions, it leads to a totally different way of looking at spirituality and even, well, human development itself. Okay, you ready? Let's get into it. Okay, so to really get where he's coming from, we have to start where he starts. And that's with a really specific definition of, well, the force behind everything. Now, in this text, the Creator isn't some being with human emotions or motivations. It's defined as the absolute good. And what that means is that its entire nature, its one and only impulse, is to give, to bestow goodness. Think of it like a law of nature. The text even says it's logically impossible for this force to be the source of any kind of harm. It just can't happen. And this simple idea sets up the entire dynamic of, well, everything. See, if the Creator's nature is only to give, to bestow, then logically, it has to create something to give to. And that something has to be its complete opposite, a will to receive. And guess what? That's us. That's all of creation. It's this fundamental opposition, this give and take, that's the engine driving reality.
Okay, so right away, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, if the Creator can only do good, where does all the suffering and all the terrible stuff in the world come from? And the text has a clear answer. It comes from us. It's a built-in consequence of our own nature. All the harm, the cruelty, the pain, it all stems from our will to receive when it's just operating for itself, in a totally self-centered way. So it's not some kind of punishment from on high, it's more like a bug or a feature in our own basic programming.
But that just leads to another huge question, right? If this good Creator set the whole thing up, why does our world seem so messy and full of pain? Well, the author has a concept for this, and he calls it purposeful providence. And this is a really big idea. It means the guiding force of reality is completely focused on the final, perfect outcome. And get this, it doesn't take into account the messy middle parts. The pain, the confusion, the suffering, none of that is part of the calculation. The only thing that matters is that we get to that perfect end state. And to make this idea easier to grasp, he gives us a really great analogy. Think about a piece of fruit on a tree. At the beginning, as a little bud, it's bitter. Then it grows and it's sour. Totally inedible. It's the complete opposite of what it's supposed to be. But a botanist doesn't look at the sour, unripe fruit and declare it a failure, right? Of course not. They know it's just a phase on the way to becoming sweet and perfect. And according to this text, that's exactly how Providence looks at us and our development. Now, if all that sounds a little harsh, here's the part that's actually pretty comforting. The text says that our final destination, achieving that same nature of giving, which he calls adhesion with the Creator, is totally guaranteed. It's a done deal. The only thing that's up for grabs is how we make that journey. He uses another little parable here. Imagine a king who sets aside this incredible inheritance for his son, but then the son grows up and is just completely incapable of enjoying it. The author says, in a perfect system like Providence, that kind of failure just isn't possible. So to make sure the outcome is 100% guaranteed, the system has prepared 2 different ways for us to get there. And these are the 2 paths. The first one is basically the default mode for humanity. It's called the path of suffering. This is where life just pushes us from behind. We keep running into painful situations, and slowly, over a long, long time, we reactively learn that our own ego is what's causing all the pain. But then there's the alternative, the path of Torah. This is a conscious, proactive, spiritual path. Instead of being pushed from behind by pain, we're pulled from the front by aspiration, by a desire to change. And this, the author says, makes the journey both fast and pleasant. And this whole idea brings us to a really key distinction he makes. He says that most of us make a big mistake. We lump religion in with just, ethics, being a good person. But he argues they are fundamentally different systems with totally different blueprints. Yeah, he draws a super clear line in the sand here. He says ethics or morality, that comes from us, from human logic and experience. And its goal is pretty simple, to make society work, to keep things from falling apart. And it's usually motivated by wanting to fit in or get approval. Religion, as he defines it, is a different beast entirely. Its source isn't human reason, but the thought of the Creator. Its goal isn't society, but the individual's spiritual adhesion to God. And the motivation isn't social approval, but wanting to give contentment back to that creative force. They really are, like it says here, two completely different operating systems. Okay, so now that we have this whole framework laid out, the Creator who only gives, us who only receive, this purposeful plan, and the two paths to get there, now we can go all the way back to those first three questions and see how the answers have completely changed. Let's start with that first one. What is the essence of religion? Is it about belief? Is it about following a bunch of rules and rituals? According to this text, nope, it's neither of those things. The essence of religion, he argues, is that it's a practical tool, a tool to develop a very specific kind of self-awareness. He calls it the recognition of evil. Now, that sounds dramatic, but he's not talking about devils or demons out there. He's talking about the ability to see, with total clarity, the destructive nature of our own inner egoism. All the commandments, all the practices, he describes them as a kind of workout routine, designed to refine a person by forcing them to look at their own motivations again and again and again. And once you see it that way as a personal development tool, it totally flips the answers to the other two questions. Who is it for, and when do you get the payoff? And again, the answers here just blow that simple, childish understanding right out of the water. First off, who benefits? The text couldn't be clearer. It is 100% for the benefit of the person doing the work. It's not about making some far-off God happy. And it's not even primarily about being a good citizen in the ethical sense. It's a system built for one person, you. It's for your development, your transformation, your ultimate fulfillment. And then the big one, when? The reward isn't something you wait for after you die. The text is explicit. The whole point of it all is collected in this world during one's life. The goal is a deep, psychological, spiritual transformation that you are meant to feel and experience right here, right now. It's about fundamentally changing your experience of this life, not just punching your ticket for a hypothetical next one. So in the end, we're left with this completely different picture. Religion, in this view, isn't about doctrines or just following external rules. According to Rabbi Ashlag, it's more like an ancient internal technology, a practical hands-on method for self-discovery and radical transformation. It takes this huge external concept and turns it completely inward, making it an intensely personal journey. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. What would it mean if we saw religion not as a set of beliefs to adopt, but as a tool for recognizing our own ego,